Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce our 2021 keynote speaker, Kevin DeShazo. Kevin is the co-founder of Culture Wins, the sports division of global leadership firm Giant Worldwide, and the founder of Fieldhouse Media. His book, Leadership Interrupted, is a must-read and provides daily inspiration to become the leader you are meant to be. Many of you have already received the book and is on the way for those who have not. Kevin is a sought-after speaker, having presented on more than 200 campuses, and is a regular presenter at conferences and conventions, including NACTA, COSIDA, the NCAA Convention, and the Collegiate Athletics Leadership Symposium. Kevin is also the host of Leadership Minute and the Sports Leadership Podcast, and has been quoted on ESPN.com, the New York Times, USA Today, Forbes, Bleacher Report, Sports Business Journal, and many more. So please join me in welcoming Kevin DeShazo.
Hello friends, hope that you are doing well. So great to be with you. Obviously would love to be there with you in person, but cannot wait to share with you today. But first, I want to take just a minute to acknowledge you and just to celebrate and honor the way that you showed up this last year. I know that 2020 was an incredibly difficult year and well into 2021. I know every day came up with something new, some new adversity, some new challenge, some new obstacle, some new terminology and changed plans. Right? Something new showed up every day. But you know what else showed up every day? You did. Every day you showed up and you fought for your people and you found a way through. And that is what leaders do. In the midst of adversity, in the midst of difficulty, in the midst of uncertainty, in the midst of chaos, leaders lead. And you did it. It's exactly what you did. You showed up and you fought for your people and you found a way through. So I just want to say thank you and job well done. Now, I know that leadership can be a heavy burden at times and people don't really see it. We spend a lot of time complaining to and about our bosses rather than fighting for them, rather than serving them, rather than thinking about just how heavy it is when every decision you make, every word you speak, every action you take impacts so many. So I just want to say I get it and I see you. So thank you for the way that you showed up this year. That's what leaders do. Now, I think if we're honest, the lessons of the past year, if we use them, can make us a lot better. I think the struggles of the last year, if we use them, can make us a lot stronger. And that's what I want to talk with you about today. But it starts with a story. So I want to take you way back to January 2020. Doesn't that feel like forever ago? It was a Saturday night here in Oklahoma City. I was sitting in my home and it's freezing. My house is fine, we have heat, but it was freezing in Oklahoma City. And I live in a historic neighborhood. So 105, 110-year-old homes. And my neighbor actually has a wood-burning fireplace. Now, on this night, his fireplace was burning. He had wood in the fireplace to keep his family warm, and I could smell it. And I love that smell, but my brain is a little weird. And so late on this Saturday night, I start Googling the process. How does wood go from forest to fireplace? I didn't know the answer. Now, some of you are thinking like, Kevin, this is not top secret. Like, it's not rocket science. You would be correct. I just didn't know what the process was. And what I found was really interesting. And what I found matters for us in our pursuit of greatness, in our pursuit of getting better, in our pursuit of progress. Because what I found is that the wood that my neighbor put in his fireplace that night was not fresh wood. Right? He didn't wake up that Saturday morning, walk outside and say, yep, probably gonna freeze tonight, gonna need some wood, and go out, chop a tree down, put it in the fireplace that evening. And he didn't chop that tree down earlier that week or even earlier that month. No, the wood that he put in that fireplace was 9 to 12 months old, maybe older. Because if he would have chopped down a tree that morning and thrown it in the fireplace, the wood would not have been ready. It wouldn't have been useful. It wouldn't have been seasoned. And he would have thrown it into the fireplace, and instead of warming his family, it would have filled the house with smoke. There's a chance it would have even caught his fireplace on fire and burned his entire house down. Not exactly what he was wanting. Now, the wood he used was older. It had been dried out. It was seasoned. It was ready. His wood was ready for the fire. It was ready to be used. It was ready for its purpose. The process of wood is it has to wait 9 to 12 months, sometimes longer, to dry out, to be ready, to be seasoned. Then it can be thrown in the fire. Well, what that means is that somebody's out there chopping that wood 9 to 12 months ahead of time. Right? They're out there February, March, maybe even the prior January, and they're chopping down wood thinking, what is this even for? This isn't for today. I'm not going to use this today. I'm not going to use it tomorrow or even in the next couple of months. I'm not going to use this for a year. And they could easily quit. They could easily say, what's the point of all this? It's not fun anyway. I don't like this work. This is hard. It's hard work. Doesn't appear to be to serve a purpose today. What's the point? The point is they have a vision. The vision was, I want my family to be warm in the winter. Well, if you want your family to be warm in the winter, then that demands something of you in February and March. It demands that you go out and you chop the wood. You do the work. That is the process of greatness, right? You have a vision for what you want. You understand the process of what it takes to get there. And then you show up each day, you do the work. You show up each day and you chop the wood. But it's about two things. It's about you pursuing your craft, but it's also about you as a team. But let's take my 12-year-old son, for example. He's in the middle of baseball season right now. Let's say he steps into the batter's box and he's not ready. He's up there. He's like, oh gosh, I hope this pitcher's wild. Like, I hope he's not ready because I'm not ready. I didn't practice like I should have. I missed one night of practice. I didn't do the work. I'm not going to be useful for the team. No, he wants to walk up confident and ready, saying, this is what I prepared for. I'm ready for this moment. I'm prepared in this moment because I prepared for this moment. I did the work. I had a vision of becoming a hitter, and now I'm ready because I did what hitters do. I developed the right habits. Same thing for the pitcher, right? You don't want that pitcher walking up thinking, man, I hope this guy is just undisciplined, that he swings at every pitch because I didn't practice the way I should have. Not ready for this moment. Now you want him walking up with confidence, because when the pressure rises, you don't rise to the level of your hope. Like, I hope I figure this out. No, when the pressure is on, you rise to your level of preparation. So if you want to be great when adversity hits, that means you prepare for that adversity. If you want to have fuel for your family in the winter, that means you chop the wood in the spring. Right? You don't want to just hope that things work out. But it's also about us as a team. Right? You want to be able, when adversity hits, and adversity will always hit. We saw it last year. Doesn't matter how great of a leader you are, how great of a culture you had, adversity hits everyone. Like, two things are guaranteed in life: death and adversity. I don't mean that to be negative. It's just reality. We always get surprised by adversity. Like, man, who knew this was going to happen? Like, life is hard. There's 7 billion of us roaming around the planet, all trying to do our own thing and bumping into each other. Like, we're guaranteed to screw things up. We're guaranteed to bump into people who are not going the direction that we're going. Life is going to be hard. Expect it. Because when you expect it, you can prepare for it. When you're prepared for it, you work through it. Because when adversity hits, here's what leaders do. Guys, stick together. We got to stick together. We're a team. Everyone's like, stick together? Like, he's in it for him and she's in it for her. Like, I'm in it for me. I'm looking out for number one. So good luck to you. And instead of fighting a common enemy, they're fighting each other, and they crumble under the pressure. But great leaders and great teams, when that adversity hits, guys, stick together. We've got to stay. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. I know it's uncertain. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. We can get through it if we stay together. The team looks around. It's like, yeah, I know she's in it for me. And I know he's in it for me too. So I'm in it for them. Let's lock arms and let's run forward together. Let's fight our common enemy, not each other. Right? They go to that rack of wood and they reach for that log that says trust. And they go to throw it in the fire and they're ready because they chopped wood. They have trust. They go to grab that log that says relationship and they're ready because they've built relationships, because they've chopped wood. Right? They're not the team who's running to that rack of wood and looking for trust, like, oh gosh, it's not there. Let's hope it works out. Right? We don't want to be, hope is great. It's not a strategy. So it requires this process of chopping wood, that you believe in the vision, you commit to the process, and you keep chopping wood. This is the process of greatness. It's boring. It's not flashy. It's not sexy, but progress is a process, and it just requires that you keep showing up and doing the work. We live in a culture of convenience, a drive-through culture, where on the way to my office this morning, I could get money, I could get food, I could get medicine, I could get clothes. I mean, I ordered a car sitting on my couch from my phone, and they delivered it to my house. So we live in this culture of ultimate convenience. Greatness is not convenient. It requires commitment. And in a world that is constantly looking for the shortcut, the work is the shortcut. Right? You want to be great, you have to do the work. You can't just talk about it, you have to be about it. And so this story became a book. Right? That freezing Saturday night in Oklahoma City, me Googling the process of wood going from forest to fire became a book called Keep Chopping Wood. And what's been great is, over the last year, I've been able to share this book with teams and leaders around the globe. From government agencies to nuclear power plants to pro sports teams to college athletic departments to high schools to construction companies to PR agencies. Because the message simply sticks. And I don't mean that to be prideful, but I'm a pretty simple person. Right? I don't understand complicated things, and I may just not be very bright, but I wrote the book to be simple. So if you want to get here, you have to do this. Right? There are certain things you need to do to get where you want to go. And it's not about hope, it's about work. Right? The work is the shortcut. But as I've been talking to teams and leaders around the globe around this book, a few things I've discovered. And I want to share those things with you today. So it's not just believe in the vision, commit to the process, keep chopping wood. There is a process in there that I want to talk to you guys about. So I've given you a 30,000 foot view. Now I want to take you down to the ground level and say, Kevin, what do we do with this? So the first question I want to ask you is, how are you trending? Right? Are you moving in the right direction? Are you moving toward the things that you want, or are you moving away from those things? Maybe you want to be healthy. Are you trending toward healthy, or are you trending towards unhealthy? Maybe you want to be a better leader. Are you trending towards being a better leader, or are you moving away from being a better leader? There is no middle ground. Right? If you're getting complacent, if you're embracing average, then you're getting worse. You're not getting better. You're not moving in the right direction. How are you trending? What direction are you moving? Well, that depends on your path of intention. Most of us are on a path of being accidental, right? We just kind of show up, get on the hamster wheel of average and hope that things work out. But I want to introduce you to a concept called the path of intention. And here's how it works. And we'll go deep into each one of these, but this is the simple tool. So I want you to think about this tool, maybe write it down, take a screenshot of it, break it down with yourself, break it down with your team. But the direction you're going is a reflection of your habits, right? Your habits determine your path. Right? If you want to get healthy, you have to do healthy things. If you're doing unhealthy things, your direction is that you're moving towards a lack of health. Well, your habits are shaped by your culture. If you don't like your habits, if you don't like the habits of your team, look at the culture. The habits will never change until the culture changes. Well, leadership shapes culture. Not just the leader, but everyone thinking and acting as a leader. Leadership is not a role, it is not a title. Leadership is a mindset and a lifestyle. So how is your leadership shaping the culture, which is creating the habits, which is determining your direction? And then under all that is this idea of belief, which is really a superpower. We'll dig into this in a minute, but belief drives all of it. You'll never move in the right direction if you don't believe that you can. So this is the path of intention. What direction are you moving? What direction do you want to be moving? Now, I want to introduce a few more things to you here. This is called the change equation, because as you're pursuing a new direction, as you're pursuing a new vision, as you're pursuing a new goal, resistance hits. You've experienced this, right? You want to get healthy, and all of a sudden every ad and commercial you see is for something unhealthy. You're like, what in the world? I just signed up for the gym yesterday, and now all I'm seeing are ads for junk food, right? The world has a way of kind of conspiring against you. Most people get taken out by resistance because they don't have these things in place. What is that? Number one, you need to get clear on your level of dissatisfaction. Like, what are you dissatisfied with? Maybe your health, maybe your relationships, maybe your leadership, maybe your culture, maybe your finances. What are you dissatisfied with? And this is a question I've learned to love to wrestle with leaders. Just embracing and sitting in dissatisfaction, getting really, really clear. And it can be painful. But if we can get clear on the dissatisfaction, then we can know what to do. Right? We can't avoid it. We can't work around it. We have to go directly to it. What are you dissatisfied with? And get clear on your level of dissatisfaction. Is it a 2 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10? If it's a 2, you're not really dissatisfied, you're just annoyed. It's like, suck it up, stop complaining, and move on. But if it's an 8, it's like, that's some pain. If it's an 8 out of 10, all right, let's do something with that. What do you do with that? Well, you have to know your vision. What's your vision for that area, for your health, for that relationship, for your finances, for your leadership, for your culture? Most people I found don't have a vision. They're dissatisfied, they're unhappy. It doesn't mean bitter or depressed or anything like super dramatic. They're just dissatisfied with life. But they don't have a vision, which means they don't have a reason to wake up every morning. They don't have something to run toward. There's nothing that drives them. And when your dissatisfaction is higher than your vision, you get hopelessness, you get frustration, you get bitterness, right? Because you're unhappy, but you don't know why, and you don't know what to do about it. But if your vision is higher than your dissatisfaction, right? Maybe that dissatisfaction is still an 8 out of 10, but the vision is up here. That becomes motivation. That becomes ambition. That becomes drive. That's saying, like, I see the mountaintop. I'm not there yet. I'm not where I want to be. I'm dissatisfied with the fact that I'm at the bottom of the mountain, but I can see the top. I know where I'm going, and I know that I can get there. That's dissatisfaction with a higher vision. Well, that vision can seem overwhelming, right? You're not going to climb the mountain today. You're not going to run a marathon today. You're not going to lose the weight today. You're not going to write a book today. You're not going to change your culture today. So why even start? It's a lot of work. That's where most of us end up, because that resistance kicks in. The lies kick in. The excuses kick in. You don't need to do it all today. You need to take the natural next step. You can't climb a mountain, but you can take a step. You can't run a marathon, but you can run a mile. You can't write a book, but you can write a sentence. You can't lose 40 pounds, but you can go to the gym. You can't fix the relationship, but you can have a conversation. Right? You can do one thing. Get a small win. What I found is that on this pursuit of progress, you need 2 things to keep going: confidence and momentum. Confidence that you can do it, and momentum that you're building on. You get those from small wins. Otherwise, we're just constantly pursuing like big win, big loss, big win, big loss. And it's just these peaks and valleys, and we can't sustain that. But small win after 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 small win, and we just keep building. We keep running after our purpose. We keep running after progress, and we keep getting better. What is the natural next step that you need to take today to get you moving in the right direction? And this one I think is a really, really big key in all of this. Allies. Who is going to run your race with you? And maybe they're not running it with you, but they've just committed to cheering you on, to holding you accountable, to helping you get there, saying, I believe in what you're doing, and I'll do my part. Ideally, it's people who are running that race with you. Say, I believe in that thing too. I want that thing too. I will encourage you. I will cheer you on. I will support you. I will care for you, but I will hold you accountable. I will make sure that you're doing the work. I will keep you on the path. Because creating change is really hard. It's even harder when you're trying to do it alone. So who do you have that can run alongside you? When you have those things in place, then you can overcome that resistance. Because you're clear, you know what you're dissatisfied with, you're clear on the vision, you know the natural next steps, so you can get a small win, and you've got people to help you. That is how you overcome the resistance that shows up every time we try to create change in our lives. Don't be surprised by the resistance, work through it, right? You don't have to get over it. I don't know if you get over resistance, if you get over adversity, if you get over anxiety, if you get over fears, you just simply work through them. You do the work today to get to the other side of them. They may show up again tomorrow, and you keep working through them. So let's get really clear first on your want. All right, I asked this earlier. What direction are you trending? Based on what you want, how are you trending? Are you moving toward the thing that you want or away from the thing that you want? Are you going in the right direction or are you going in the wrong direction? Do you even know what you want, right? I mentioned earlier that most people don't have a vision. They just wake up, they get on that hamster wheel, and they're busy all day, and they've embraced a life of average, embraced a life of mediocrity. Doesn't mean they're not doing good work. It just means they're never going to unlock their impact. They're never going to unlock their potential. What I know about you is that you were not made for average. You were made to be great. You were made to be great. Like, say that, repeat it until it sinks into your brain. You were made to be great. That doesn't mean be a billionaire. That means to make a difference. All right, greatness isn't about what you acquire or necessarily what you achieve in the world's eyes, like in terms of promotions and money and homes. Like greatness is what you achieve in terms of impact in the lives of the people around you. Most great people, most successful people, we will never hear of, right? They're not out trying to acquire things. They're just simply showing up, doing great work, and serving people. That's it. But what do you want? Again, it could be about your health, could be about a relationship, could be about finances, could be about your team, could be about your culture, could be about your mindset. Write it down. Maybe you need to put it on a Post-it note attached to your mirror where you see it every day to remind you so that you pursue what you want, your purpose, and not your distractions, not your fears, not your insecurities. Maybe you need a reminder in your phone. Hey, this is what I'm about. Hey, this is what I'm pursuing. Hey, this is what I want. Because we get busy and we forget. So get clear on what you want. Now, on this road of progress, circumstances are out of our control. Right? Think about how your day goes. You can't control your boss. You can't control your team. You can't control your family. You can't control the university. You can't control the conference. You can't control the NAIA. You can't control COVID or the economy or competitors. You can't control any of that. And I could go on and on and on. There are a billion things that you cannot control, and we spend most of our days trying to control those things, right? We love the phrase, control what you can control. Well, let's actually live it. It's not just a cute phrase, it works. What you can control is your mindset. What you can control is your attitude. What you can control is your perspective. And your perspective will determine your experience. You know, as I talk with leaders, it's fascinating when I ask, what's maybe the favorite season you've been through? Rarely do they talk about the best seasons, their championship season where they won a title, won a conference title, raised the most money, had the most success. They usually talk about seasons that were difficult, about seasons where they had to overcome adversity. They say, you know what? That season forced us to really lean on trust. We had to find out who we are, and our relationships carried us through. Those were the sweet seasons. Championships were great, the wins were great, but it's those difficult seasons that really helped us come alive and solidify who we were. Now, if you would have asked them that during those seasons, they would say, this is miserable. I hate every minute of it. I want to get through it and get over it. But time usually gives us the gift of perspective. But what if you have that perspective in the midst of adversity? When adversity hits, when resistance shows up, instead of complaining, instead of getting selfish, instead of whining, you said, hey, this is an opportunity to get better. I'm pursuing my purpose. I expect things to be difficult. You get to control your perspective. And wouldn't that be a person that you would want to follow? And we saw that this year. We saw that this last year with COVID. It was an extremely difficult year for people. Some people handled it better than others. And don't hear shame in any of this, but some people freaked out. They panicked. They let fear and anxiety take over. Other people went the complete opposite direction, said none of this is real, it's fake, do whatever in the world you want to do. Both, I think, are unhealthy. But there was a group in the middle that said, no, I see it, it's real, but I'm going to choose how I show up. I'm not going to give in to the fear. I'm not going to give in to anxiety. I'm going to be informed, but not consumed. I'm going to be aware, but not afraid. And in the midst of a really difficult year, they controlled their perspective. And they had a better year than most people. It doesn't mean financially, doesn't mean in terms of success. It means how they showed up in the midst of that year. Not because they're better than anybody, because they had a better mindset. Because they had chosen to work on their mindset to have the right perspective when problems hit. Maybe you need to reflect on how you showed up. Again, don't shame yourself. Don't judge yourself. Say, you know what? I didn't respond maybe as well as I could have. I should have had a better perspective. And then you learn and you grow and you commit to getting better. But life is about owning your perspective because your perspective determines your experience. So you've gotten clear on what you want. You know it's going to be hard. You know things will be out of your control on the journey. You know that you're going to face resistance. How do you make sure you get through all that? Well, you have to have the right habits. Based on what you want, your habits must change. If you want to get healthy, you have to do what a healthy version of you does. If you want to be a better leader, you have to do what a better version of you as a leader does. If you want to be better financially, you have to do what financially wise people do. You need new habits. Your habits shape your trajectory. You cannot create change unless you change your habits. And it's really, really difficult. So what do you need to do here? You need to figure out, like, what does that version of you do, and simplify it, right? Don't overcomplicate it. So I'm going to use the example as we walk through this of me getting healthy. Let's say I want to get healthy. Great. I've got a vision for what a healthy version of me looks like. Okay, what habits do I need in order to be healthy? What does a healthy person do? Well, they eat well, they rest, and they exercise. Again, simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Make it simple. Okay, well, am I doing those things? No. Okay, I need to put a system in place where I can do those things. I need to work to develop those habits. But it's not just about the habits you need to develop. It's about the habits that you need to drop. Right? You may have good habits. They just may not be the right habits for this season. And so take stock of your habits. What do you do when you wake up? What do you do in certain situations that demand you be healthier, that demand you be a better leader, that demand you be a better friend, that demand you be smarter with your money? What are your habits? And what habits do you need to develop? And what habits do you need to drop in order to move you in the right direction? Habits are the secret sauce, right? They've been talked about a lot. If you've read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, it's a great read. But his take on habits is that every decision you make is a vote for the kind of person that you want to become. All right, it's having the discipline to create the right habits. Being disciplined in your habits is an investment in your future. So what habits do you need to develop? What habits do you need to drop to get moving in the right direction? Well, your habits are shaped by your culture. If you don't like your habits, look at the culture. If you don't like the way your team shows up, look at the culture. If your team is negative and anxious and selfish and disconnected, then you have a culture that encourages negativity and anxiousness and selfishness and disconnect. If you have a team that is positive and focused and cares, then you have a culture that encourages positivity and focus and caring. You've created a culture where those habits are the standard, not the exception. And that is the key. You have to create a culture where the habits that you need in order to move toward the thing that you want, where those habits become the standard, not the exception. If they're the exception, you will never develop them, right? So again, let's use this example of me trying to get healthy. I need to eat well, need to rest, need to exercise. Well, let's say my family culture is that we eat out 4 nights a week. And all the snacks in our house are candy and junk food. And my wife and I stay up until midnight every night watching Netflix. Well, our family culture does not encourage the right habits. It doesn't matter how much I say I want to get healthier, how much I want to get better, I'm never going to do it. Because healthy is the exception. I may make a good choice every now and then, but it will never be enough for it to become a habit. So I have to say to the family, all right, we're only going to eat out once a week. And we got to get rid of all these snacks. I need healthy food. You know what? Like, I love watching Netflix with you every night, but we can't do it till midnight. Let's turn it off at 10 and go to bed. We could both use some more rest. Now what I've done, it's not just me getting healthy. I'm multiplying that to everyone around me, right? It's not just me on the journey. It's my family on the journey. And that is how you create a culture where the habits become the standard. So what habits is your culture currently encouraging? What kind of culture do you have? What needs to change about it? Is it encouraging the wrong habits or the right habits? Is your culture moving you in the right direction? We can never change our habits if we don't first change the culture. But now it comes to us. Leadership. Leadership drives culture. And again, it's not just you sitting in the leader chair, it's everyone. Everyone in your organization should think like a leader. That's not a threat to you, that's an asset to you. Because the best leaders develop more leaders. They don't develop followers, they develop more leaders. And leaders take ownership. So it's looking at your culture and saying, if I don't like the habits, then I've got to be honest about the culture. If I don't like the culture, I've got to do something about it. Been one of my favorite questions to ask people lately in coaching sessions or in interacting with leaders, when they start to complain, well, this is going on and this is difficult and this is happening. I say, man, I get it. That's difficult. So what are you going to do about it? Well, but it's their job. No. What are you going to do about it? Because leaders don't complain, leaders take action. So what kind of leader are you? How are you showing up and what kind of culture is that creating? The question we always ask leaders is, What's it like to be on the other side of you? And there's a tool I want to teach you to figure out what the answer to that question is. And it's a tool that you may have seen before if you've worked with us or been to some of my keynotes before, but we call it the support challenge matrix. And what we've realized is that not all leadership is created equal. And language matters, right? You can say to someone, hey, I need you to be a better leader. I need you to step up your leadership. I'm like, I don't know what that means. Yell more, like be bossier, like make decisions without collaborating with people. Like, I don't know. Language matters. And we think leadership is about the calibration of support and challenge. And so to say to someone like, hey, the team knows you love them. Like, you're great at supporting them. You really need to bring up your level of challenge. I can do that. I can do that. That's clear. And so what does support and challenge look like? There are 4 quadrants here if you look, and this bottom right is high challenge, low support. It means you dominate people. Too much expectation, too high of standard, too much pushing. Doesn't mean you're a jerk, but you might be. And ultimately, this culture of domination creates a culture of fear and manipulation and silence. And you can win this way for a while, but ultimately it burns people out. And you get a culture of abdication, low support, and low challenge. People are just kind of showing up, going through the motions, saying, yeah, just tell me where to be and when to be there. Just whatever you want me to do. It's a paycheck culture, not a purpose culture. They're doing a good enough job to not get fired, but not a good enough job to get any more responsibility. Now, the flip side of a culture of domination is a culture of protection. High support, low challenge. A lot of care, a lot of encouragement. This is like a player's coach. And people aren't getting better because you're never telling them the truth, right? You get real passive aggressive. You let the wrong behaviors slide. And finally, somebody else points it out. And they come to you like, hey, I was at this convention talking with someone and they mentioned I'm not very good at this. Like, you've not seen that, right? And you're like, actually, yeah, every day for 7 years. You're terrible. What? Like, why didn't you tell me that? Oh, I just didn't want to hurt your feelings. Right? To protect people holds them back. To dominate people holds them down. To liberate people builds them up. And that's what the best leaders do. High standards, high accountability, high care, high encouragement, high support. Right? It's the best leader you've ever worked for, the best coach you've ever played for. They were extremely hard on you. Right? They held you to a high standard, but they also cared deeply for you. And because of that, you would run through a wall. You knew ultimately that they were for you. They wanted what was best for you. You didn't always love it, but you knew their intent. And so much of that is simply rooted in accountability, right? We make an accountability a dirty word in our culture. Accountability is the hallmark of championship cultures, because accountability isn't what you do to people, it's what you do for people. And you do it by calling them up, not out. So what kind of leader are you? What kind of culture are you creating? Each kind of culture here determines and encourages a certain kind of habits, a certain level of habits. Are you creating a culture where people can consistently bring their best? Where they can consistently show up and live the standard and know that they're going to be cared for, rewarded, acknowledged, honored, and challenged? Because people actually want challenge. They just want to be treated as people along the way. So what kind of leader are you? What's it like to be on the other side of you? Now, again, this is not just you to the team. This is you to you. Do you dominate yourself? Are you way too hard on yourself? Do you protect yourself? Right? You're delusional. You ignore your weaknesses. Or are you honest with yourself? Say, hey, you're really good at this, but you need to work on this, but you've got what it takes. What kind of leader are you to those around you? What kind of leader are you to you? Now we're to belief, the superpower. All right, again, I was writing a book on belief when Keep Chopping Wood kind of came to my brain. I'll probably write this book next. But belief is the separator, because our belief drives our behaviors. If you don't believe it's possible, you will never achieve it. You will never fight for it. You will never work for it. You will give up. And that's both about people and the vision. If you don't believe people have potential, you'll never fight for them. You'll label them difficult and you'll never give them your best, and it will become true until somebody else does believe in them and helps them unlock their potential. It's like going down a highway. and you're clear on what you want. Like, I want this. This is the direction I want to go. And you're going down that highway and there's off-ramp after off-ramp after off-ramp. And if you don't believe, at the first sign of adversity, you take that off-ramp, right? The off-ramp of, it's too difficult. I'm too busy. I'm probably going to fail. It's harder than I thought, right? Belief looks for a way forward. Doubt looks for a way out. So when you've committed to that vision and committed to that process, you see the off-ramps like, I'm good. I'm going this way. I know exactly where I'm headed. I see the top of the mountain and I'm going for it. So thanks for the chance to quit, but I'm going. We either rise to our level of belief or we fall to our level of unbelief. Get that. Like, get that in your brain. We either rise to our level of belief or fall to our level of unbelief. And as a leader, your job is to multiply belief into your team, right? Because if they don't see you believing, they will never believe. It's on us. It's on you. You have to stir up belief every single day. It's one of the main roles of a leader. Belief is a superpower over all of it. If we believe in it, we'll run for it, we'll fight for it. That's the path of intention. You want to be moving in a certain direction. That requires certain habits of you today, which is a reflection of the culture that you've built and the type of leader that you are and your level of belief. If you want to get better, if you want to get moving in the right direction, now you have the path. And again, I would sit and work through this with your team. Say, hey, what direction are we moving? Are we going the right way? Do we have the right habits? Like, what kind of habits is our culture encouraging? What about our leadership? Are we doing the job we need to do? And do we believe any of this is even possible? This, friends, is the path of greatness. This is the path of progress, of unlocking your potential. It's a simple book. It's a simple concept. You believe in the vision. You commit to the process, and you show up each day and you do the work. You show up each day and you chop wood, and eventually you make progress and you get small wins, because small wins are still wins. Baby steps are still steps. But when you believe that the vision is possible, you commit to the work, you show up and do the work, then you overcome adversity. You battle through the difficult days. You overcome doubt and you unlock your potential. This is how you unlock who you were made to be. This is how you become great. The greatness is already in there. You just have to believe in it and unlock it and do the work. In a culture of convenience, those who are committed are those who will make a difference. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for showing up. This is my contact info. I'm going to hang out in the chat for a little bit, do some Q&A, but this is all my info. If you need anything, call me, text me, email me. I love talking about this stuff. So if you disagree with something, you have questions on something, want to jam on something, call me, text me, email me. So appreciate the opportunity to be with you all. Again, thank you for who you are. Thank you for how you show up. Believe in yourself. Believe in what's possible. Commit to the work and keep chopping wood. I'll see you in the chat.